Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. Go ahead and take a deep, comfortable breath, settle in, and get ready to look at the world in a completely new way. Today we're exploring a seriously fascinating idea. What if the biggest limitations in your life aren't actually real? What if the walls holding you back are really just invisible illusions, completely created by your own mind? Well, we're going to journey through history, modern brain science, and some really ancient philosophy to show you exactly how to shatter those walls.
Okay, let's dive right into this. You know that feeling when you're just totally stuck? We've all been there, right? Maybe it's a math concept you just can't seem to figure out, a sport where you keep making the exact same mistake, or even a friendship issue where you just feel like giving up. You feel totally trapped, yet if you look closely around you, there are no actual chains holding you down. It's just this heavy, frustrating feeling. But to understand why our brains actually do this to us, we need to travel back in time to meet a very hungry fish. Section 1. The Invisible Glass Barrier. Dr. Carl Moebius and the Hungry Fish. So, our story begins way back in the year 1873, with a famous German zoologist named Dr. Carl Moebius. He designed an experiment that would completely change how we understand behavior. Picture this in your mind. Dr. Moebius takes a northern pike, which is this large, fierce predator fish, and drops it right into a glass tank. But he slides a clear glass divider straight down the middle. On the other side, he puts a bunch of tiny, delicious minnows. Of course, the hungry pike sees its dinner and strikes. It smacks its snout right against that invisible glass. Day after day, it tries to eat, and day after day, it hits that painful, invisible wall. By day 6, the bruised and frustrated pike simply gives up. It just sinks to the bottom. But here is the crazy part. Dr. Moebius then removes the glass. The minnows swim freely right past the pike's nose, yet the pike doesn't even try to eat them. It eventually starves to death, completely surrounded by food, all because its brain firmly believes the barrier is still there.
This whole tragedy, it's known as the Pike Effect, or learned helplessness. It happens when past failures create these invisible boundaries inside your mind, and those boundaries dictate your behavior long after the actual physical obstacles have totally disappeared. Think about when you struggle repeatedly with a tough homework assignment, or you fail at a video game level so many times you just toss the controller on the couch. Your brain is essentially projecting your past history right onto your present reality, making you completely blind to new opportunities. Without even realizing it, you become the pike. You're staring at the minnows, totally believing a glass wall is stopping you when it really isn't.
Moving on to Section 2. The brain's default passivity and exactly why we give up. So, why do we give up? To find out, we're going to look under the hood of human biology and see what's actually happening inside our brains when we feel trapped. Now, what's really interesting here is a massive plot twist in modern science. Back in 1967, psychologists firmly believed that humans and animals literally learned how to be helpless through repeated stress. But skip ahead to 2016, and neuroscientists made a stunning discovery. We actually don't learn helplessness at all. Giving up is our brain's unlearned, default biological response to prolonged stress. What we actually have to learn is the exact opposite. Let's break down this brain science because it's actually super cool. Deep inside your brainstem is a tiny area called the DRN. When you face uncontrollable stress, the DRN acts like a biological emergency brake. It floods your brain with chemicals that make you freeze, withdraw, and feel fear. Just like the pike at the bottom of the tank. But right behind your forehead is your VMPFC. This is basically your higher level wisdom. When you realize that you actually can change your situation, this area fires up and literally sends a signal to shut off that emergency brake. And here's the best part. The more you do this, the more you rewire your brain for resilience. So the absolutely crucial takeaway here, what is actually learned, is control. You literally have the power to create a proactive biological shield against anxiety, just by realizing your own agency, by choosing to try just one more time, or looking at a problem from a completely new angle. You train your brain that you are the one in the driver's seat. Section 3. Reality as a user interface. Is reality just a computer desktop?
Now, let's shift our perspective slightly. Why does our brain trick us with these invisible glass boundaries in the first place? Well, evolutionary cognitive science has a mind-bending answer for this. Cognitive scientist Donald Hoffman proposes what he calls the interface theory of perception. Think about a computer desktop. When you save a homework file, the icon on your screen might look like a little blue folder. But is the file actually a blue folder inside the computer? No way. It's a massively complex string of ones and zeros on a microchip, but if you had to manage millions of ones and zeros every single time you used a computer, you'd never get anything done. Hoffman argues our brains do the exact same thing. To keep us alive, evolution gave us a user interface that hides the true, overwhelming complexity of reality behind simple mental icons.
So the crucial point here is that the world as you see it is really just a helpful interface. It's not absolute truth. The glass barrier the Pike felt and the overwhelming stress you feel when you face a challenge are just glitchy icons on your mental computer screen. They're biological suggestions designed to keep you safe from perceived danger, but they are absolutely not unbreakable physical realities. You literally have the power to click past them.
Section 4. Peeling the 5 Sheaths, the Ancient Science of Consciousness. Okay, so what if I told you that ancient Indian philosophers figured out this exact same science thousands of years before brain scanners or computers even existed? Let's turn to the ancient texts known as the Upanishads. They map out human existence through the Panchakoshas, or the 5 sheaths. Imagine peeling an onion, layer by layer, from the rough outside all the way to the delicate center. First is the Annamaya Kosha, your physical body. Next is Pranamaya, your breath and energy. Then comes Manomaya, your mental conditioning and automatic habits. And guess what? This perfectly matches the brain's default passivity, that chemical emergency brake we just talked about. Deeper still is Vijnanmaya, your higher wisdom and intellect, which acts just like that executive control center in your brain that shuts down fear. And finally, right at the core, is Anandamaya, pure bliss.
As we peel back these layers, you realize something incredibly soothing. You are not your stressed mind. You are not your trapped, tired body. And you definitely aren't your automatic habits. You are the witness of these 5 sheaths. Deep down, way beneath the glitchy icons and those mental glass walls, your true self, which is called the Atman, is pure, untouched consciousness.
Section 5. The Tale of 2 Birds and Finding the Ultimate Witness.
And this brings us to a brilliantly poetic metaphor from the ancient texts that illustrates this perfectly. It really shows us how to break out of our invisible tank. Imagine a wild, turbulent stream representing the totally chaotic flow of everyday life. On the bank of this stream is a great tree, and perched in its branches are 2 magnificent birds. They are inseparable companions. The first bird is constantly hopping around, eagerly eating the sweet fruits, but then eating the bitter fruits, getting entangled, frustrated, and sad. But the second bird, it sits perfectly still on a higher branch. It doesn't eat, it simply watches with perfect, calm clarity.
These 2 birds represent the dual nature of your very own mind. The first bird is your everyday ego. It tastes the bitter fruits of stress, gets all entangled in drama, flutters around frantically, and feels hopelessly trapped, exactly like the pike hitting the glass. But the second bird is your true self, the supreme cosmic witness. It calmly watches, totally untouched by stress or failure. The ancient teaching tells us that when the stressed, trapped bird finally turns its attention away from its anxiety and looks up to realize it is actually one with a calm, witnessing bird, it is instantly liberated from all that grief.
Finally, Section 6. Questions for your journey and shattering your glass.
Let's slow things down a bit and bring all of this right back to you. We've explored biology, computer interfaces, and ancient wisdom. Take a moment right now to think about your own life. What invisible glass barriers are holding you back today? Is there a subject in school you've just decided you're bad at? Is there a hobby you quit because you felt a little embarrassed? Or maybe a friendship you've given up on? Where in your life have you, just like that pike, simply stopped trying because of past bumps on the nose?
When you hit that wall tomorrow, ask yourself, am I just reacting out of my brain's biological default passivity? Remember, that feeling of helplessness isn't the truth of who you are at all. It's literally just a chemical emergency brake. You have the higher intellect, the executive control, to recognize that the glass is actually gone. You have the power to take the wheel and rewire your own brain.
And finally, as you go about your day, really ask yourself, which bird are you being right now? Are you the frantically fluttering bird, chewing on the bitter fruit of stress? Or are you the calm witness, just watching it all unfold? Remember, you are pure, blissful awareness. The obstacles are just glitchy icons on a screen. You are the ultimate witness. And the truth is, the glass was never truly there at all. Thank you so much for joining me on this incredible journey. Keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep shattering those invisible walls.